Hello everybody, Joss here and welcome to my first ever video. Today we're gonna talk about digital rendering, basically the way I color my drawings, so shadows, lightings and so many more. So, this is my first ever time making a tutorial, so I hope I'm making everything correctly. Step by step, we are gonna explore 4 phases of a digital coloring. Basically, together we are gonna work on a project from zero. Before getting started though, we are gonna need a line art, basically a drawing composed only by outlines. If you wanna practice digital coloring but you don't have a line art on your own, you can download the one we are gonna use on the description of this video. Alright folks, let's get started! So, the program we are gonna use will be Procreate on iPad, but you know, the concepts are basically those, so it doesn't really matter the program you're using. Something important we need to do is selecting the lasso tool and marking all the outline, basically the external part of the line art. We can also use the bucket tool, basically dragging the circle of the color on the line arted zone, basically inside the line art, but we are not gonna do this because we need to select the whole area inside the line art, so we can fill all the pixels without any issues. Once all the area has been selected, we're gonna use the bucket tool and fill the outline. This is an important step because after that we are gonna select the area just filled, create a new layer, and voila, basically we put the base colors. So, we are doing this because in this way we don't risk to color outside the outline. In that way we can color in a smoother way, without any issues. After we are done filling on the desired area with the base colors, we are gonna obtain our flat colored image. A really important suggestion I'm gonna give you all, but you can do whatever you like, basically is creating a different layer for every color. For example, one for the hair, one for the jewelry, one for the crown, one for the eyes, one for the skin, and one for the dress. Basically, stuff like this. Now that we're done with the flat colors, let's give depth to our character. But first, a couple of advices. First, I strongly advise against using pitch black. Instead, you can either use blue, red or purple in order to give more harmony to the colors. We're gonna talk about this later. Another step we have to make is to create a light point and a shadow point. Basically, in order to give more easiness to put the shadows and the lights in the next step. An advice I give is to use Pinterest to search the lights and shadows references. So yeah, stuff like this. To make sure that the shadows don't go outside the drawing, we are gonna put a clipping mask on the top of the flat colors. In that way, the shadow won't go outside the drawing, like I've mentioned before. After we are done with the shadows, we are gonna put the layer mode on multiply and set it to 50% or a little higher, like 55 or whatever you like, however your style suggests. And there we go! We managed to get our character depth with the shadows. So, an important thing I want to point out. I use the purple because, maybe personal choice, I like to give more harmony with the color, but using black is okay, I guess. It's however your style suggests. So, it's all a matter of harmony of colors, basically to make them vibrant and shining. In the third step, we're gonna add the highlights in order to refine the how can I say this, the volume of a character, basically giving it more depth. So, instead of using white, pure white, we are gonna use the yellow on the add mod, and the opacity will be at 80%. And there we go. Do you like it? Wait, what do you mean that I missed a step? Oh, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, we're gonna get through this. So, let's make an example. We already made a drawing that is acceptable, but if you really want a drawing that shines with the colors, you're gonna put more time and effort, and we are here to do this. So, let's get into the fourth and last step, the final touches. Before starting, we are gonna do the background. What I usually do is using this default nebula brush there is on Procreate and adding some stars, making a galactic background. So, here is usually where I go nuts because I create the gradients with a dark blue and a magenta or purple or red or whatever my mood says, and then Gaussian blur to 40% in order to give more gradient to the colors and the shadows. We can also use different layer modes like hard light, soft light, dim light, screen light. This step in general is meant to give more different colors to every part of the drawing. For example, here for the sclera, we're gonna add this red and then Gaussian blur in order to create this gradient. Also duplicate it and set it on color burn, and then add this tiny light on the edge of the eye stuff. So we're gonna repeat this process over and over until we are satisfied with the result. Also, we can go over that. For example, you don't like the black line art? Fine, we can color it with a different color. For example, a dark red, a blue red, or whatever you like, whatever your style suggests. So, in this case, we are gonna use different colors in order to highlight even more the character. After we're done with that, we're gonna merge, duplicate it, set on Gaussian blur of 5% and then set it to overlay in order to give this shining line art. So it's something I usually do because it's something I really like. Then, after we are done with that, we can go over that. For example, we merge the background, we Gaussian blur it and then set it to overlay or other layer modes and then lower the opacity. In that way, the colors will blend perfectly with the background. So, we can go over that using the chromatic aberration in order to accentuate even more the colors. Here is my favorite part of the drawing, the half-tone dots. I use them every time and I go nuts with that because I love them a lot. They highlight even more the colors and the character. Something I usually do is using them for color transitions, for example for the shadows, for the lights, or basically how the mood says. I don't know how to describe this because it's really my favorite part of the drawing. This last step is optional, but if we really wanna go over that and accentuate even more the colors, I duplicate the whole drawing, go to curves, for example the curves we probably saw in math lessons, go to red, green and gamma and blue and set it randomly, however you like. Then after we're done with that, we're gonna set it to overlay and lower the opacity. See the difference over here? More shining colors. And voila! The drawing is done. This took me more time than it usually should because you have to put all your skills, all your efforts and all your imagination. But it's surely worth the effort. So, I hope I was helpful with this tutorial. I admit I'm not really good at explaining things, but I did my best and I had fun with it. So I hope this will helpful for you. And an advice I'm gonna say, practice a lot with the colors. With the good time, effort, and perseverance, you can reach higher results. So I hope to see you in the next video, and if you want me to explain something more, for example about art, feel free to write it in the comments. So stay cool!